Hey everyone, and welcome to day 6 of the Year of the Man Summit, the second to last night of this week-long summit where we have 7 speakers, 7 days, bringing you content to help you become better fathers, leaders, spouses, and men, all for free. And today we have Beatriz from Brazil. She's going to teach us about theta healing and breath work. So if you really resonate with her content, guys, you want to rewatch the recording, you want to ask her questions after in VIP, make sure to please purchase VIP if you haven't already. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat. But other than that, remember that this summit is made specifically for you to become a better father, leader, spouse, and man. So be intentional, ask questions. We're so excited to have you here, and there's no other summit like this. So here we have Beatriz. I'm handing it over to you to talk about Hypnobreathwork and theta healing. And I'm excited. Let's go.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for being present here with me. Last week, 2 weeks ago, Elise and I, we record the podcast about my journey, and I'm not going to go very deep into that because you guys can listen in her podcast. But one of the things that I want to just mention is why I'm so happy to be here and why I'm so committed to give all my heart and energy in this moment with you guys. It's because in 2016, actually, was my very first time working just with men. I was in the marketing industry at that time. I was working in a big company in Brazil called Natura. And I was relaunching a brand that it's just for men, a cosmetic brand just for men. And throughout the process of like working in this brand and relaunching this brand, I had to watch a documentary called The Mask You Live In. And it's all about the hypermasculinity and how boys are raised in a way that makes and puts them in a box. And watching that documentary and really studying and reading a lot of articles and research about how we raise men really got me so frustrated in so many things that I consider myself a very aware person, and using words and use terms that doesn't allow men to be who they really are and put them in a box. So since that moment, I start to notice how important it is for us to really talk direct to men, and how we as women have a big responsibility in raise boys and raise girls that makes them feel allowed to be who they want to be, and not putting people in boxes and telling them how they should feel. So that's the reason that I'm super stoked and super happy to be here. And that's how my journey with directed with men and working with men started. And my journey has a lot of like ups and downs. I had a lot of like crazy journeys that I put myself in. I worked for almost 7 years in the same company in Brazil until the moment that I received a proposal from Mind Valley to move from Brazil to Malaysia, and really like quit everything in Brazil and just move and just jump in this adventure. So I did that a few years back, and it was a crazy journey. I was not enjoying what I was doing there. I was not happy with my body, with myself, with the job that I was doing. And I fell in a very like deep depression. I had days where I didn't want to even like leave my bed. I consider myself a very happy and energized person, but I had days where I literally couldn't leave my bed. I was so depressed. I was so sad. I was so confused. And I believe that this was a very important, one of the most important journeys that I went through. And if I could go back, I would leave everything again. I know how painful it was. I know how difficult it was, but I know how important was that moment to bring me in where I am right now. And today I help 7-figure entrepreneurs to create the life that they want and connect with their intuition and take aligned action to move forward and to create the business, the personal life that they want, and create the magic that they want in the world. And today I'm super, super passionate to help these entrepreneurs to really like create this life that they want. If you find my Instagram, you're going to see that I love to talk about manifestation. I talk a lot about manifestation. Manifestation is a very important topic for me, because I do believe and I know that we can all create the life that we want when we learn how to work with ourselves, when we learn how to work with our beliefs and really manage our energy so we can create anything that we want.
Okay, Bea, I just want to jump in here
Yes.
quick because you brought up manifestation and we talked about this on the podcast, but just for anybody who hasn't listened to the podcast yet and thinks that manifestation is this new age hippy dippy, like I
Woo-woo.
say it and I get it kind of thing. Can you explain what you like, how you perceive it and what you mean? Because I think it's really important to explain that.
Absolutely. So let's put in, I'm going to explain in different ways. So when we talk about science, it's scientifically proven that the brain is plastic, right? The brain changes as a result of an experience. So the brain connection we use is strengthen it, and the ones that we don't die back. And energetically, if we take a little piece of our brain, right? I think I gave this example. I love to use this example because for me, it really explains a little bit more of manifestation, because manifestation is just management of energy. That's all that manifestation is. So if we take a little piece of our brain, we're going to see that it's made of tissues. And then if we see these tissues are made of cells. Our cells are made of molecules. Did I say correct this time? I love that.
Yeah, you did. It was a good
Finally,
job.
I'm getting. The molecules are atoms, right? Are made of atoms. And these atoms, what atoms are? Energy. So everything is energy. Our body is energy. We are energy. Everything is energy. So when we learn how to manage our energy, we learn how to attract more things that we want. So our brain is parts subconscious and parts conscious. So when we talk about conscious, is about what do you imagine that you can create? So you start to imagine things. This is your conscious brain. The subconscious brain is the part of the brain that we call as a program. So until our 6-7 years old, we were like sponges. So we were absorbing everything that was happening. You were absorbing everything that your mom, your dad, your friends, you were absorbing everything that your teachers, the commercials that you were watching on TV, everything that you were receiving as information, you were absorbing that, and you created beliefs around that. So your subconscious is a program. It's repeating a lot of beliefs that you have. So I can use myself as an example. So my mom, she had a very tough life. My mom had a very, very tough life. And she believed that she couldn't trust in anybody. So I grew up with my mom telling me the whole time that I couldn't trust anyone, that I couldn't trust any man, that I couldn't trust any friend, that the only person that I could trust was my mom. So I grew up hearing this all the time. So what happens in my subconscious is it's a program that I have, which it becomes a belief. It's a belief that I have that I cannot trust. So what starts to happen in my life? I start to look for proof. So I start to see all the situations, all the people that I cannot trust. And that's where I direct my energy. So because of that belief, I start to create in my life proofs that I cannot trust. So I'm giving an example about trust, but we can use this for anything. So imagine you were growing up with a family that it's super protective, that it's trying to tell you, and I'm not saying here for you to blame your family, to blame your friends, but it's so important that you have awareness that you have a belief system that it's limiting you the life that you want. So if you are not living the life that you want yet, it's because there are a lot of beliefs for you to work on. So we say usually your thoughts create your reality. And the reason that we say that is because these thoughts that you have, you are giving meaning to that. So these beliefs that you have is creating these thoughts, and you're giving a meaning to that. So for example, I have this belief that I cannot trust men, that I cannot trust anyone. Right? So then I give a meaning to that. And the meaning that I'm giving is that I cannot trust. So I have to be careful. So I feel scared when I'm in a situation because I cannot trust. And then I'm putting emotions to that. And the emotions that I'm putting in, I'm fearing it. I'm scared. I am concerned. And then this emotion puts me in a frequency. So when we talk, I just said, like, we are energy, right? So we are vibrating in different energies. So if I put myself in a frequency, it means that I'm attracting that frequency that I am in. So I mean, everybody here can use this example, but when everything is going so right for you, like everything is flowing, and then one more good thing happens, and then it's just like a flow of a lot of great things. And the reason that this is happening is because you are in this very high frequency that you are attracting this thing. The same thing when you are in a low frequency, like you feel sad, and then another bad thing happened, and then another person tell you something, and then you lost your job, and then you don't have money for that, and like you just feel that it's like just a lot of things, bad things happening. And the reason is because you are vibrating in this frequency, in this low frequency, and you are attracting more and more of that. And the reason that is because you are energy. So you are vibrating in this energy. So when we talk about manifestation, it's all about the management of energy. So if you want to attract more good things, and that's what the law of attraction talks. So I started like reading The Secret when I was 12. Literally, like I hated, like at that time, I hated read, like all the books that I had to read in school. It was like a nightmare. Like I never read it, all the books. So it was like always like a struggle for me to really like read a book. And I remember this is a funny story. I remember being in my mom's bathroom, and my mom's used to have like a lot of magazine, like a pile of magazine in the bathroom. And one day I was looking at that pile, and I saw like a book that stood out for me. And this book was The Secret. And I took the book and I started to read like a few things, and I got so like fascinated by the book. And I started to read and read and read. And for me, it was like, wow, I don't even like to read, and I can't stop reading. So I start to use some techniques and some affirmations that they were talking about that. And I start to see like a lot of things happening in my life because of the affirmations that I was using. And some affirmations were working, some affirmations were not working. And I was like, what makes like some affirmations work and what makes other affirmation doesn't work, you know? So I start to get more curious about that. So I start to study more about that. And I believe that when we talk about manifestation, the law of attraction is one of the tools, right? It talks a lot about the vibration that we create so we can attract more. A great book that talks a lot about that, and I really highly recommend to everybody, it's called Ask and It's Given. This is a great book that explains a little bit more the science and how it works when you want to attract more of the things that you want.
Okay, babe, I'm just going to stop you right there because you are like on fire and you're going.
I mean, when we talk about that, like I can speak for hours.
I know we could totally do it all day, but I just want to like, because like you pointed out so many good things, and I just want to loop it back around specifically for men. So like when you were saying, you know, I grew up in this home where my mom told me like not to trust. I couldn't trust anybody except for her. And we think about like the documentary that you pointed out, the masks we are made to wear, right? The masks we live in. And men, when you're listening to her and apply it to just the societal stigma that men are under, right? Don't cry, you know, don't be weak, don't be a pussy, be strong, grow some balls. You may not think about it, but subconsciously it is becoming part of your program. And the thing that she didn't mention is that the subconscious is actually 90% of what you do with your life. Yep. So it's crazy to think that only 10% is something that we're actually controlling or that we're aware of. And the rest is just your brain, your machine just going, right? Because the brain is so efficient that once it has a program, it just runs with it. It doesn't question it. It doesn't say, oh, this could be more efficient, until it hits the roadblocks, until it hits workaholism or alcoholism or porn addiction or regular addiction or whatever it is that you hit a block and you're like, maybe this isn't the way things should be. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to kind of loop that back around to be very specific for men, because when she's talking about this in manifestation and management of energy, it's going to be really important to acknowledge the subconscious programs that you have, to become very aware, not just of the societal programs that you have, but of the ones that you grew up with in your home, like that your friends are giving you, your environment. Because also when she's talking about, you know, being in the energy of like positive things or negative things, she also mentioned that like we start to look for that. Like whatever happens in your life, whatever your beliefs are about yourself, you will attract more of because you're looking for proof,
Yep.
right? So the second, like just as an example for me, the second that I started looking for good things to happen instead of bad things, more good things started happening. A, because you're just paying attention more, right? You're giving more attention to the good instead of the bad. But B, then you operate at like a happiness level, right? And people they're attracted to happy people. So like it sounds stupid, but like that's how fake it till you make it works. That's how like these energetics work. So I just really wanted to loop it back around to men specifically so you can understand as you're sitting there, the fact that you came to this summit and you're learning all of these lessons and you're investing in yourself, you are raising your frequency because you're starting to challenge the societal beliefs. You're starting to challenge the negative thoughts. You're starting to rewire the neural pathways in your brain to think differently. And so everybody who's here, you're creating and opening doors for massive opportunity. So I know I totally just went on like this tangent and I'm going to hand it back to you.
This was a great point. And I think you brought a data that it was very important. So as you said, 90 to 95% of the time we are being led through our subconscious, which means through these beliefs that we have, through this program that we received. So, and just 5% of the time we are in our conscious mind. So imagine that this belief is like, you can't cry, you can be sad, you can express yourself, otherwise you are like tagged as like in this box, right? That you should be doing that or that. So 95%, 95% of the time we are being led by the subconscious. And also they usually say that 70% of this program is negative. 70% of these beliefs are negative, are disempowering or self-sabotaging. So imagine that most of your life, you are being led by this 70% of these programs that are negative, that are disempowering, that are self-sabotaging. So work on these beliefs, work on yourself, and being aware of that gives you the freedom to create the life that you want. So when we talk about manifestation, yes, like most of the people talk about the woo-woo part of that, but there's so much science that it's coming, so many research that are proving us that we can create the life that we want through this work that we do in our mind, in our heart. So just by allowing yourself to express who you are and being curious about who you are and working yourself, working your beliefs, gives you the opportunity to create the life that you want. And that's what manifestation is. Yes, there are a lot of woo-woo conversations about manifestation. There are a lot of like energy healing work around that. And that's part of what I do. That's part of one of the tools that I use to shift your energetic energy in the space that you are. And also there are a lot of work that you can do on yourself by yourself to shift that. So I love that you brought this up. Thank you for bringing out all of that. One of my favorite, I have a lot of favorite authors and speakers that I really study about that. But a big one is Dr. Joe Dispenza.
So that was the author that I brought up on the podcast that I couldn't remember his name, of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. If anybody listens to the podcast, I really struggled to come up with the author's name, and that was it.
That's it. Okay, makes sense. Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks a lot, and he used to be a doctor or a scientist, and he talks a lot about how we create what we want through a clear intention and emotional chart. So he talks a lot about how you have a clear intention. So in order for you to have a clear intention, in order for you to manifest the things that you want, you have to be aware of the things that you want, right? You have to be clear in the vision that you have. And then you associate an elevated emotion, which connects for me a little bit of what I was saying about the affirmations, right? So a lot of people like use affirmations to attract the things that you want. This doesn't work for a lot of people. It didn't work for me in many, many cases. And the reason is because an affirmation, if it's something that you don't believe, that you don't trust, that you're saying that, you're not going to create that. But if you have a clear affirmation that resonates to you and you associated and elevated emotion, you create an effect on matter, which means is you start to bring the energy that you want through that, and you create an effect in your life. You create a reality through that. So for those who never heard about Dr. Joe Dispenza, this is a great source for you to learn more about how to work on yourself and how to use the power of your mind, the power of your brain, to really create the life that you want, to really create what you desire.
Dispenza, Dispenza. Brian, Dr.
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza. And I just wanted to cut in there. Can you give us like I know that Dr. Joe Dispenza is like a really good resource for manifestation in the science. He gets really sciencey in his books, kind of hard to listen to at times. But for you yourself, you've worked with so many people through doing your breath work and theta healing. Is there any tips that you could give to men specifically to get in touch, or examples of like affirmations that men could start using to start switching their mindset? Or
I love that. Well, first of all, go on my Instagram and experience one of the sessions that I have there in my profile. So there, like, you don't need to talk with me. It's just a recording session. It's an amazing way for you to start to really like connect to yourself. And I think the secret of this work is really like start to talk to yourself. So if you can like buy a journal, just like a white journal, it doesn't need to be like a specific journal, just so you can start to write down your thoughts, write down what you're feeling. Like literally wake up and write down what you're feeling, write down what you're thinking, writing down like all the things that you were experiencing that moment. This is like a basic thing that can really help you. Yeah, Dr. Joe Dispenza, that can really help you. And I know that I used to be this person that used to say like, I can't meditate it. Like I have a very busy mind. Like I have too many things to do. Like I don't have time for that. And I guarantee you, if you start to do like 5 minutes a day, just take 5 minutes to sit with yourself, play any frequency. You can put on YouTube, you can put on Spotify, like the theta frequency, or like meditation music, and just leave it there and just be with yourself, be with your thoughts. I started with guided meditation because it helped me, but there are some people that doesn't like guided meditation. So explore what works better for you. There is no way that someone's going to say like, this is what the best for you. This is the formula for you. No, what works for one person might not work for another one. You need to find out what works for you, what is like the best thing for you. So this technique that I use, which is called theta breathwork, which is a combination. I created a theta breathwork. And the reason that I create that is because just breathwork was not being as powerful as I wanted in my own life. So I start to combine different techniques that really, really helped in my journey. And that creates like this very fast and effective transformation in my day-to-day. So the way that I work with my privates, I do one session a week and I share the recording, and they do almost every day. But if you can use, like I have group sessions that I do once a month, you can join. It's like a super cheap thing that you can enjoy. But the reason that this is so powerful is because I combine this theta healing method with Hypnobreathwork. So the theta healing method is a healing method that really helps you to develop your intuition, and with the intention to explore your emotional energy without having to talk too much about that. So what I found very interesting when I start to work with men is that they didn't want to talk more about that. They were feeling blocked. So that was the first barrier. They were not like feeling comfortable about sharing, because they even didn't know how to process and how to bring up what they were feeling, because they were put in a box their whole life. So they didn't know how to express themselves. And how can we ask them to express themselves if we don't help them to do it? So I found very powerful, because first of all, this technique you don't need to be talking a lot about that, but you connect with yourself in a very deep level. And I did a session with you and your group in your coaching program, and you saw, like at the end of the session, so many things come up, and I didn't even talk to them in the beginning. It was just like a session. And the reason is because you go inside. You don't need to be talking about that. You go inside and you connect with your heart, you connect with your intuition, and you're going to see that the answers will come up for you. So this method is a combination of theta healing, which is this physical, spiritual, and emotional level of transformation. So it is a body, mind, soul integration that we do. And we reprogram subconscious beliefs. So we use the breath work, and the hypnobreathwork is another technique that I'm certified on. And the hypnobreathwork is a combination of breathwork, hypnosis, and visioning. The breathwork is that we accelerate your breathing pattern. So we give more oxygen in your body and decrease the carbon dioxide. So when we do that, we quiet down the prefrontal cortex, which means is your belief system activation. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. So we want to quiet down this part of the brain so we can access your subconscious mind and create new insights, creating new connections, create new neural pathways. That it's like the belief system activation that you do. We want to create new neural pathways so you can feel empowered to create the life that you want. And the hypnosis part is nothing like you are unconscious. Now, you are completely conscious there. It's just a way that we put your brain in a theta brain wave, and your brain becomes more suggestible when we do that. So which means that we can plant some seeds that are very empowering for you to create the life that you want. And the last piece is the visioning. So the visualization is when I'm telling you, like, please visualize that. Like, imagine that you are in this place. Imagine that you are seeing that. This is visualization. The visioning is when you receive some downloads, you receive some images, you receive some memories, you receive some signs. And this is a very intense experience, but it's a very quick. So usually a session like the theta breathwork session is at 30 minutes. I always use more time because it always comes a lot of things that I can help and support. But it's like a 30-minute session that you can do. And it's like that. And it can help you to heal. It can help you to feel more inspired. It can help you to activate your brain so you can be more focused. It can help you to heal your relationship with your mom. I just did a session today with a private client, healing the relationship with her mom, and it was so freaking powerful. And the reason that I said it's so freaking powerful is because there are some things that we hold in our subconscious that it's holding us back to create the life that we want. So this relationship that you have been holding on, so much anger, so much sadness around that, if you heal this relationship, and not necessarily talking directly with that person, you can heal that just by yourself, just with the work that you're doing with yourself. You can unlock this energy so you can thrive in the things that you want. So that's a little bit of the technique that I do. The way that a session works is like you just lay down. You're like with your in a space that you feel comfortable. You can do it in your bed, you can do it in the floor, you can do whatever you want. We had, when we did the session together, we had like some guys that did in the floor, we had people that did in the bed, in the couch. So whatever feels more comfortable for you. And usually I ask for a blindfolded eye mask, because it helps you to disconnect with the vision piece. So you're not concerned about the lights, you're not concerned about the visions that you are having, so you can really go inside. And that's pretty much it. That's what you need for a session. And then I will guide you. And it's a very powerful technique.
Wow. Wow, guys, are you like really like as invested in this as I am? I love hearing you speak because you have a way with storytelling that really gets you sucked in. But I really wanted to, I just think that it's so interesting as I'm listening to you explain breath work and theta healing, how similar it is to like trauma therapy, because I'm not certified in breath work or anything like that, but I am certified in trauma therapy. And a lot of my studies go into like CPTSD and PTSD and things like that. And the foundation for healing trauma in psychology and in therapy is relaxation of the body and the muscles. So I think, like a lot of healing modalities all have the same root of like connecting mind and body and total relaxation
Yeah.
and total trust. And so you guys, when she is talking about like the prefrontal cortex, that thing is what's completely shut off when you're in fight or flight. Because it's in charge of making decisions. It's in charge of like organization and holding memories and things like that. And you can't be thinking of all these little details when you're in fight or flight. And the thing is, if you are anxious all the time, if you're depressed all the time, if you're, feeling like really angry, you are in technically fight or flight because your prefrontal cortex is shut off.
Yep.
Right. And so I just think it's so interesting because in trauma therapy, we focus on actually lighting this back up so you can make decisions in alignment with relaxing the body, because there's actually no threat. You don't need to be anxious. You don't need to be stressed. You don't need to be, unless there's an actual threat, right? That's when it's useful. But what you're doing is you're saying we actually speed up the body, kind of put ourselves into a fight or flight mode, which the way that I'm understanding this working is because we think too much. And when we think too much, it blocks our ability for our subconscious to be changed, right? So it's so crazy because during breath work, you actively shut this off. And during trauma therapy, you actively turn this back on. But both of them aid in the same purpose of healing and releasing and letting go. And that's exactly why I brought Beatrice into so everybody who signed up for the group coaching, I know there are a few of you in here. I brought her in last time to do a session like 6 weeks in. So obviously we learned all the foundation for trauma therapy, healing, and everything like that. And then she came in and did this powerful session with all the men. We even had one guy fall asleep for like 30 minutes. We were really worried that he was dead. And it was really great. Like the visions that the men had, and like, it was just insane, just insanely powerful. So yeah, like I love how you're explaining parts of the brain, and it's not just, going based off of, feelings, like, that's powerful, but like I also incorporate a lot of science and neuroscience into my sessions. So that's why I like really wanted to bring you in. So anybody who's in the group,
I love that.
Yeah, like, or if you're not in the group, I strongly suggest jumping into my men's group. It's going to start at the end of February because I'm going to bring her back in again. If you're willing to come back in again.
Yes, absolutely.
Teach all these men, and we go over the brain science, guys. So like these changes that she's talking about, that I'm talking about, they're not like Tony Robbins, like woo woo one weekend and you're hyped up and then you like lose all of the motivation. We're diving into the neural pathways, to the plasticity of the brain, and changing how things work, rewiring how the connections work so that your changes last, so that your subconscious, you're made aware of it, so that you have control, not just these beliefs that have been programmed into you your whole life. So it's really powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful. And every time that I talk about manifestation, is like I always try to bring the science behind, because a lot of people disconnect and just like turn off when they hear about that, because they think it's just like this woo-woo, but it's real. Like I have my life as a proof. Like I've been, since my 12 years old, I've been studying and looking into that. And you said something that was very interesting that reminded me when I was I was an intern in this corporate that I was working, and I was, of course, that whole pressure about like master, like what master are you going to do? Like, what is the next step? Like, what is the next thing that you're going to apply? Right. Especially when you were in a very competitive marketing, what is like the marketing industry. So I remember like feeling that the only thing that I was curious or excited was about neuromarketing, and like how does the brain works when you want to make a decision of buying something. And that was a big like insight for me, that showed me that was something about my heart and my passion. And for me, it was like very like eye-opening. It was like, wow, like I'm really fascinated about that. And it's not about the marketing, it's about the human behavior. It's about human mind. It's about how we make decisions. It's about how we connect to each other. It's about what drives me to buy something. So I think we ignore like the signs that happens through our life, and we think like it's in this way, it's like this box. And I think working on yourself and work on your mindset, open some doors, some windows that gives you more a deep connection with the self. So I think this work that you're doing, and I really like, thank you. I said to you in your podcast, and I want to say this again. I really thank you for this work that you are doing, because it's such important work to really help men to really like open their minds, open their windows and hearts and all of that, so they can really shift the world through that. Because we are all powerful and we can literally change the world just by being who we are. Truly.
Amen. I mean, that is so beautiful. And, she's speaking to every single one of you guys. You are so powerful. And that is why, I'm just the channel, right? Like, I'm not doing any, I'm just the channel.
Yeah.
And it's you guys who chose to show up and like come here today, and it's Monday, and you guys came, like some of you came every single day last week, and that is powerful. And like, you guys are changing the world because you're investing in yourselves and helping yourselves. And I just want to thank you guys and for coming and showing up the way that you are. So as we have drawn to the end of this session, guys, we're going to go into VIP so that anybody who has questions for Bea can ask her. Please start typing them in the chat. And anybody who's not VIP, I will go ahead and see you tomorrow for our last night. Year of the Man
Amazing.
Summit. Oh my God. I can't even believe that honestly, I can't even believe that this event has happened, because it was just an idea in November. And that's exactly what you're talking about, manifestation. Yes. I just had an idea. I'm like, I think I want to host a summit. And then I just like these creators who are, some of them are in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Literally like just, they said, okay. And they have like almost millions of followers. And that was powerful to me. So never underestimate the ability of just having an idea to action, guys. Like you can do it. So
absolutely.
Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you.
Thank you all. Really, really, really thankful to be here and to connect with you all. And please message me on Instagram. I would love to connect with you guys.
Yeah. And so we're going to pause it and just wait for people to kind of cycle out. But anybody who's in VIP, feel free to type your questions in the chat and we'll answer them in a minute. Hey guys, and welcome back to VIP, where we are going to ask the lovely Bea some questions. And I'm going to start off asking questions just because I'm a person who, because I've been working with men also, like I love strategy. I kind of love right to the point. I love action items. So I want to just like, I know that you're like, figure it out, test things out, do it yourself. But what are some other action items that people can do to live a more aligned life from your point of view?
Mm-hmm. You mean like actions that they can do day to day, or like what are the tricks that they can do like mind wise? Like what is it specific like you're looking for here?
Either or.
Okay. I think like in terms of day to day, I think it's very important to have like a routine. And I don't say like a routine in terms of like you need to go to the gym, you need to eat that, you need to do that. No, you need to do the routine that works for you, but there is an exploration that needs to happen for you to understand what makes you feel good, because your energy is so important. So management of energy, as we are saying, is one of the most important things for you to create the life that you want. So what are the things that really makes you feel good? So go to the gym, or like go for a walk, or journal, or talk with someone that you love. It's important for you. So this is something that should be part of your routine. Take care of yourself should be part of your routine, because you feel that you're taking care of someone that it's so important, that it's yourself. So take care of yourself first before you taking care of anybody else is so important. So I would say like that a routine is something very important, so you can learn about yourself and you can implement things that really work for me. So I go into phase. So there are moments that I'm meditating more, that I'm journaling more, and there are moments that I'm doing less, that I'm like working out more, or that I'm like more in my masculine energy and I need more strategic things. So I think one of the things for me is like figuring out in which phase I'm in, like what is the moment, like what does it really need it right now? And sometimes it's like a balance of like masculine and feminine energy, which means like I need more strategic things, I need more logic of things, and I need also like more intuition activation, which means meditation, which means breath work, which means theta healing, and all the modalities that I learned that really work for me. So I think like day to day is that thing is important. When I think about like mind, like tricks that you can like help your mind, meditation is definitely something that really can help your mind, your brain to works in a way that really helps and supports you. But I think journaling, like writing down what you are feeling and having a conversation with yourself. I do a type of journal that I call a conversation with God. So I usually, and I say God, but like could be universe, could be divine, could
Is
be,
it where you write a question down and then you answer the question yourself? But like, do you
yeah.
do it with your left hand, like your opposite hand, or do you do it with your regular hand?
I usually do with my regular hand. I just tap into my heart and I like start to have this conversation and I tap into like this connection that I have with source. So it could be like whatever you believe, like it doesn't matter the word that you use, if it's God, if it's the universe, if it's creator, if it's divine, whatever. My husband used pizza because he believes that pizza is the most amazing thing in the world. So it doesn't really matter the word that you use, knowing that there is a higher source that it's guiding you and it's giving you the support and guidance that we all are looking for. So I usually like just type, like just like write it down. This things like, dear God, like I'm feeling like that. And then sometimes some questions comes in my mind. So I write it down, these questions, and then I feel that there is an answer. Sometimes I don't feel that there is an answer. So I just keep writing what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. And I almost like have this conversation with God. And sometimes I receive a lot of like great insights. So imagine if you start your day with like a conversation with God, that you are tapping to your intuition, you're tapping to like this highest source and receiving the answers that you want. But again, it's like nourishing a relationship. So the same thing with money. So we talk about money and people are like, why I cannot attract and have the money that you want? So how do you're treating your relationship with money? The same with your intuition. How is your relationship with your intuition? I really work on my relationship.
I'm just gonna cut in there because you are
Yes.
like so firing up and I love it. And it's giving a lot of good information. I know everybody's loving it, but I also like want to skip my question and go to their question because I'm like, oh
Yes.
man, we're still on my question. So we'll probably
Yeah.
loop back around to that.
Yeah,
Is tied
perfect.
into
And just
these
let me
ones.
know
So
if I'm extending too much. It just cut me out.
no worries. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to ask their questions now. So Dave said, do you also do full hypnosis as well? What are the differences or are there any benefits of doing that?
I don't do just like hypnosis. I usually do a combination of that. So hypnosis is just like talking to your subconscious. I have an amazing hypnotherapy person that really helps me when I want to just focus in hypnotherapy. And her name is Julie Costa, I think. I could share, just message me and I can share her Instagram. And it's a very different technique, but I mix a little bit of hypnosis as well because it really works to talk to my subconscious, to really go deeper in my subconscious. And for me, the difference is more like in terms of what do I need? Hypnosis is more about like talking direct to your brain, to your subconscious, and almost like pushing some answers that are there in your subconscious. And that's actually something that I was thinking while we were having a conversation through the summit, is because there are many different techniques, many different healing modalities. And what I usually encourage all my clients is to try it out, try different things and see what works better for you. I tried so many different modalities, so many different energy healing process to figure out what worked better for me. So then I start to invest more time, energy, and money in the things that really work better for me. So Dave, I would really like try a hypnosis session. I would try a different technique so you can really experience the difference for you, because I can tell you here technically what it is, but the experience that you're going to have probably is going to be very different.
Love that. Love that. Okay. Brian said, does one work better than the other when dealing with a lot of childhood trauma, hypno versus theta?
I wouldn't say that one would work. Again, it's more what work better for you. Like you have to experience to see what works better for you. We do a lot of like trauma childhood and really work on this part. But I would, if it's a very specific thing, I would work with someone that it's very specific in that. Because when I look for like professionals to work with myself, I also look into specific things. So if I want to work on my mindset, I usually go and I hire like a mindset work, because this is a specific for what I want. If I want to like heal some traumas and it's a specific like childhood traumas, I would work with someone that works specifically with childhood traumas, because I believe that this person will support me better. But again, this is a belief. So yeah, I don't think that one works better than the other. It's just more for your experience, what works better for you. So I would try out different techniques.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, like look for a specialist, because I think sometimes and this is just a side note, I think sometimes what we get wrapped in a lot is looking for the quick solution or a different modality or a different answer. And really, guys, sometimes like it just takes a therapist to kind of create a foundation, right? Like breathwork is amazing, hypnotherapy is amazing, coaching is amazing. But sometimes when we have like really, really deep-seated issues, you want to be supported with the right tools. And like, stuff like childhood trauma, I wouldn't mess around with, right? Like you want someone who is specially trained, and hypnotherapy and breathwork are like aids to that. They're not the full solution, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have another question. If you have had negative thoughts for 40 years, how long can you switch and see success? I know it's different for different people. Chemically, does it take for your brain to create new neurons? I love this question too.
So the time that I don't have an answer for you, like it's going to take like 5 years, or it's going to take like 20 years, or it's going to take 1 week. It really, like, we don't have an answer. It depends of the effort and energy that you put into that. So if you are willing to really shift these things and you really consistently work on yourself day to day, I'm sure you're going to experience a big transformation in a very quick time. But if you were not really invested energetically and time-wise into that, you're probably going to take a longer journey to heal through that. And of course, imagine like 40 years of negative thoughts and like practicing this thoughts. It's not going to be like a quick shift for you. It's something that you're going to have to be working day to day. And you can work on one belief that it's like shifting from limiting to empowering, and then another one will show up, and then you're going to work. And this is like an ongoing process, is an ongoing work on yourself. So I would say the rest of your life, you're going to work on that for the rest of your life. And you can experience a big transformation in a very quick, short time if you're willing to invest your time, your energy, and daily consistently work on yourself.
That was like the perfect answer that I think no one wants to hear. It's actually going to take the rest of your life.
Yeah,
the rest of your life. But it is true. And like the way that I see it too, and don't be discouraged though, because it's not like you have to work the rest of your life to see any changes. It's the changes will continue to crop up, because we are always, even when you heal the old programming, you're still like continuing to change your new programming, right? Because you're always up leveling, you're always expanding. And the way I like to describe this to my clients, just to give you like a really scientific viewpoint of this, is the programs in your brain are like you are in wintertime, right? And there's two sidewalks. You have shoveled a sidewalk, right? But the snow has kept going forever. So the snow is like 8 feet tall, but you have a nice sidewalk that you've already shoveled because you've gone through it again and again and again and again. But at the end is a dumpster fire, because those are all your subconscious beliefs, things holding you back, right? But it's easy to go through that because you've been doing it over and over again. And now you're looking at the other pathway that has 8 feet high of snow, and you're like, I got to shovel this out. So you feel a lot of resistance. It takes a lot more work, but eventually the snow falls into the other path as you continue to dig this one out, and that becomes the easy way, right? So little by little, you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. And the big changes come after a long period of time. It's called first change and second change in therapy. And Jamal can correct me if I'm getting these terms wrong. But my therapist told me this like last week. She said, the first change is the behavioral. So you can see big changes very quickly. Like if you're very invested, it's like when you start a new diet or whatever, you're like, I'm changing this, and the behaviors are changed, right? But the second rate of change is that neural pathway. And that just takes longer because of the process that I just laid out. So don't be discouraged if you go to the other path. don't be discouraged, like if you do an old habit or you think a negative thought, it's the practice of going back and continuing on the path that you want to go that makes everything change, right?
Yeah, I love that. I think this is perfect. And I would also add something that is a concept of output and outcome. So we are taught, and like our culture and the way that our brain works is like always seeking from this end result, right? We are always seeking for the outcome of that. And actually the journey, the process that we are out here is through the output. That's where we should be focusing on. So it's amazing that you have the rest of your life to be working on that, because this process of being working on yourself is what is going to give the quality of life that you want. So it's not about like when I'm going to get in the other side of that, but it's about how can I enjoy this process? How can I make this process that it's a forever process until the end of your life enjoyable and fun? So think about that. It's not about the outcome. It's more about the output.
I love that so much, because we really do just like, oh, once I get this, I'll be happy. Once I get this, I'll be successful. Once I get this. And then soon, like years pass and, we're like 40 years into whatever we're doing. And we're like, oh my God, when am I going to be happy? And we get trapped in this idea, especially for men, that it's purpose and it's passion and you got to do this and you got to do that. And so we're always searching and running away from our actual truth, which is just to stay centered and attract things to us. And just enjoy that, like, wow, I am always going to grow. I am continuing to do this. I'm pushing my limits. I feel fear. Let me lean into that. I feel terror. Let me lean into that, like, let me explore, the consciousness that I'm embodying as a human right now. It's beautiful when you can really appreciate your experience as opposed to label it or try to control it and make it something that is, something that you feel like you need to control.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this.
Guys, this is like such a deepening of the soul webinar. I'm so glad that we're here and that you decided to do this with us.
And guys, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And guys, as we draw near the end of this VIP session, I want to make sure we have all questions answered. So do you guys have any last minute questions that you want to ask her to dive into, that you're curious about? Just wait a minute for you guys to type it out in the chat. And wow, I just always feel so fired up when we get talking.
Same. I love it. When we record the podcast, guys, you guys gonna see, like, it for whoever listened to, it was just such a fun conversation. It was just like flowing. And it was just like, we didn't have like a schedule or like questions. Like we just like jump in a call, and it was like amazing to just see the insights and all the like fire that was coming from that. And I do believe that the connections that we made through life, there is no mistake in the connections that we make. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I always thought that each person that crossed my way, each person that I connect with, I know that there is something there for me to explore, for me to grow, for me to connect, and like a feeling, whatever it is. And I'm very intentional with my connections, not in terms of like expectation, not in terms of like what I'm gonna get from this connection, but like to be very present and to be very completely there, because I know that there is something for me to learn. There is something for me to give, for me to serve in that connection. And I think for me, that's what I felt when we were recording the podcast, was just like this amazing connection and like this fire of like, just it was meant to be. Like that moment, it was meant to be. That's the perfect way for me to describe that. So I really thank you for that. I really thank for our connection and for giving all these people the opportunity to be here with us.
Wow. Yeah. No, I'm so grateful. And I am so happy. Like so many people in the chat, Kevin says, thank you so much. I got so much out of this and I was not expecting, like, I feel like we never expect to like get as much out of things as we do. But when you're open, right, like magic just comes to you, right? And I believe exactly what you just said. We're always in the right place at the right time for what we need to hear. And and see and do, right? So like if you didn't plan on coming to this session and you just ended up here and now you're like listening to her and you're feeling all these messages, like it's just meant to be for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that, just finishing with that, but Brian asked about additional examples of affirmation specific to men. And I wouldn't recommend you guys to grab affirmations from, like, I wouldn't say a lot of affirmations here. What I would say is go on Pinterest, go on, like, I wouldn't say Instagram, Pinterest, I think is the best source. Type there like affirmation for men, look the affirmation and see what resonates in your heart. See the affirmation that really like gives you the fire, gives you like that feeling of like, oh, this talks to me, and use that affirmations. There are like limitless source of affirmations there on Pinterest if you put it there. It's an amazing source. I usually use that. There is another book that I use that it's called Heal Your Body with Louise Hay.
I have that.
You have that? It's a
Mhm.
great one. So she used affirmations to heal like physical pain and like physical illness. And she has a lot of great affirmations that really, really works. And it was proven to work with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So that's another source that you can use.
And you know what, guys? Don't be afraid to write your own affirmations. A lot of times I
Yes.
think we look to other people because we feel like they're the experts and they have the answers. But the honest to God truth, guys, like no one here is a better expert for your healing than you. Like, I don't care like if you have no training or not, you know what you need to hear because you know what you need to affirm for yourself, right? You know what you believe, you know what you don't believe. So like the secret formula for affirmations that work are something that's believable, right? And something that kind of like moves you forward. So, you know, for my clients, like as an example, because I do this with my clients too, and I push them to write their own affirmations, right? So like if they want more love or they want more money, but they don't believe they deserve love, or they don't believe they can make a certain amount of money, I have them say, okay, say something open-ended so that you start to move in that direction, right? Like, I'm open to changing how I feel about love. I'm open, like I'm willing to work on my acceptance of love or something like that. Like I'm open to different opportunities for money that I didn't see before. I'm open to more money than I'm used to making, right? Like they don't have to be, I'm a millionaire with a jet plane and, you know, like, because that's the most common ones that you see, but make it specific to you, right? Like if you have childhood trauma, like I'm open to healing the wounds from my childhood. You know, like if you're specific to like a childhood wound, right? Like I didn't deserve the pain I got as a child, and I'm open to healing and forgiving. I'm open to validating myself as an adult in the way that I didn't get to as a child, right? So
Yeah.
try writing some out. Exactly like she said, do the journaling exercise. Just ask, you know, what do I need right now? And see what comes out. See what comes out.
And since we are giving some tips, I'm going to give a great one here. When I work with not just affirmations, but like I use this actually in my program, the manifestation course is a course that I have. I do a core value exercise that I help you to create an affirmation that puts you in action. So what does it mean? So when you create an affirmation, you say, I am whatever you want to create. And you also add when. So an example. I am free. Freedom is one of my big values. It's so important for me. So I am free when I'm financially stable, or I'm like when I blah, 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 blah. This gives me a direction and an action step that really helps me to make this affirmation a reality in my life. So it's not just about repeating, but the actions that are in alignment with who you're saying that you are. So I am free. I am open to love when I'm open to talk with people about that, whatever is the thing that works for you. So put the when and the action really helps you to put you in action in alignment with the beingness that you are saying that you are.
Love that. Love that. So powerful. I think I read, I don't know if you've ever Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Rob Kiyosaki, but his wife has a download, and this is like years ago, and I just remember this. And she talked about how to make affirmations effective, and she called them affirmations.
I
So just
love
like you
that. I
said,
never heard about that.
It's so crazy that this like really made me believe in like universal consciousness, like, and this is just totally off key, but I went to India when I was like 23, and that was the first country I'd ever been to. And I stayed at a psychic healer's house. And I just like, I think that was like my awakening, right? Like I got sick and I would wake up and I just wrote all these things about the universe, like how the universe was created. I don't know why it sounds like I was on drugs, but I really wasn't. Um,
That's
and
amazing. You
and
should
one
tell
of
the stories to more people.
I have all of the articles. I think I wrote like about the difference of like young heart and old soul, and like, I don't know, super weird. And the reason why I believe in like universal consciousness is because like things that I wrote down there and things that I wrote when I was little, I've always been able to talk to men kind of like I do now, and people in general. They would come to me with their problems and I would just know what to say. And in my mind, I pictured it as like, oh, I'm cutting these cords. I don't know why I thought about that. Like, listen, I'm not religious. I didn't have anything to do with spirituality when I was younger. And so then fast forward years after I came home from India, I'm reading something by Doreen Virtue, who is super prominent in the spiritual community. And she talked about Archangel Michael and how he helps people cut the ethereal cords. And I was like, what the heck is this? And she like said
Wow.
like exact quotes that I like thought in my little kid brain. Like, so guys, like that's when she was talking about energy and how we're all energy and like we're all connected. Like, dive into your desires, dive into the things that you want, because you are a puzzle piece and part of the bigger puzzle, and we all make the picture together. So there's nothing that's like, you have a choice, but there's nothing that doesn't work in the universe, right? So like, trust your desires, no matter how big they are, no matter how crazy they are, they fit somewhere in the expansion of consciousness.
Yes. Yes. Amen.
So that's like a super random tangent. But it doesn't look like anybody else has any more questions. So I appreciate you guys for sticking on and listening to me go on that rant and listening to us talk about energies and, kind of spirituality and like how to, just connect deeper with your soul. I think that's, the more that you continue to be curious about yourself and question yourself, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I like the things that I like? What's holding me back from these things? It's really just going to give you all of the answers that you ever need. So I appreciate you guys for coming in today. I'm so glad that some of you guys are connecting with Bea already. And yeah, so we're going to end the session for tonight, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow night, day 7, the last night of the very first year of the Man Summit, soon to be the greatest summit for men of all time. You can bet your arse on that. And we'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you so much. Send you all lots of love. Thank you, guys.